What's happening in Dubai, guys? So excited to be here today and to talk to you about a subject that I've personally been raving for the past 2 years, and that is advertorials in combination with Google Ads. Why it is a superpower for your business and why you should start using them ASAP. Now, before we get started, let's define advertorials for those of you who don't know. Advertorials are a type of landing page that mimic the editorial style, a journalist or an expert giving an unbiased, neutral opinion about your product relating to a problem someone may have and taking them all across the journey from problem aware to solution, product, and then ultimately to buy. Now, another type of landing page that is often associated with advertorials is listicles. It's technically not an advertorial, but very similar. So for the sake of this talk, we'll include it. And what listicles are basically comparison sites, right? Comparing different products, my affiliates know, or even 3 ways to achieve X, or 5 reasons why you should do whatever. So this is the type of asset that we're speaking about today. And you may ask, why should you go through the hassle of creating such complicated landing pages, right? Why shouldn't you just go and run traffic to your standard PDP? And the answer to that lies in the awareness stages that we're all familiar with. You see, most advertisers run traffic here in the most aware section, right? And naturally, this is where you would expect the highest conversion and the highest profitability because this is where people are looking for very specific solutions, right? Think buy t-shirt online, like people are literally just about to make the purchase. Now, naturally, you would expect this to be the highest converting element, and that's why everyone is advertising there, right? You have the highest competition, you have the highest CPC, and you've got relatively small audience size. So, what has happened over the years is that this part of Google search has become so bloody competitive that it's very, very difficult to actually make a buck. I bet many of you have actually run searches in the past, and they probably worked, they probably converted, but they weren't profitable. And that is exactly because of this reason. Overall, you can say that this part of funnel has become a very red ocean, making it difficult to be profitable. Now, what I want you to do instead is to focus on this section, the problem-aware section of the funnel, where people haven't made up their mind yet, right? Where they're still looking to solve a problem. This, in contrast to most aware, is a lot more of a blue ocean environment. Why? Because people don't advertise there traditionally. Problem-aware traffic will not convert as well on your PDP as most aware traffic because this person does not have a solution in mind, does not have a product in mind. They're simply looking to solve a problem. And this is where advertorials shine. And they enjoy lower competition, lower CPCs, and much, much larger audience sizes, right? And that's why I would call this a much more blue ocean environment. Now, question is, why should you use advertorials in combination with Google Ads? Why don't you just run Meta towards it, right? Okay, there's a slide missing, whatever, doesn't matter. Here we go. Now, why should you run Google Ads on advertorials? What makes Google so special? And the point is, even if you got a crushing advertorial on Meta, you still have the same Achilles heel that you always have with Meta, and that is bloody creative fatigue. Meaning, if your creatives stop working, so will your advertorials, right? And that is just an extreme weakness that we can counter with Google because there's no creatives involved. We're talking search campaigns, right? So, keyword to landing page, done. If it converts, there's zero risk of creative fatigue or anything like that happening. And ultimately, what that means for you is that your advertorial campaigns, they will work for longer, they will be more profitable because they're lower CPC, and they will build a massive moat around your business because they're not easy to crack. Now, another reason why I love using advertorials in combination with Google Ads is the stability aspect. Now, if we examine this search query, for example, how to reduce wrinkles, this is a very universal search query. People in the 2000s were looking for that, and people in the 1990s and 1980s were having this problem. Probably the same amount of people like today, meaning that it's extremely stable and it's the counter opposite of creative fatigue. If this works, it will work for a very long time. As opposed to very bottom funnel queries like a product that's currently in hype, whatever, that might go up and down. But people's problems, they will always remain very, very stable. So if you're able to crack this query, it will work for a very long time. Now, another reason, and I want you to zoom out here a little bit, is just think about the bigger implications of your business, right? With Advertorials, we're talking about profitable new customer acquisition, right? We're not talking about retargeting, we're not talking about anything. We're talking about getting stone cold traffic into your funnel and converting. And every advertorial that you crush, that you get to work and you're able to convert it, adds a new baseline of profitable new customers you generate every month, right? So 2 advertorials, 3 advertorials, as you go on, you increase the amount of profitable new customers in your business. And that, as we all know, plays a major role in your valuation, meaning that getting 4, 5, 6 advertorials that are really smashing can have a big impact on a potential future exit and generally your enterprise value. Now, bottom line as to why you should use advertorials is simply they generate more profit, they bring more stability in your business, and ultimately, they bring more enterprise value into your business. Moving on to the how. How should you use advertorials? How do you go about starting to use them? Step number 1 for you is to understand what makes people buy your products. What are your winners on Meta, right? What are the top performers? And what you want to do is simply analyze them. Simply take a look at the angle, understand what we're talking about, who we're addressing, what is the problem, what's the benefit, what's the solution, and break that down on keyword level, right? For example, here, we have a creative of a woman in her 30s, before and after, right? Before she had more wrinkles, after she has less. So that can be very easily summarized into the keyword, how to reduce wrinkles in your 30s. And there is search volume for that, which brings us to step number 2, validating it. Now, you've got your big keyword pile, you've taken all your winners from Meta, you've analyzed them, 20, 40, 50 keywords, whatever. You need to understand which one of these keywords is actually being searched for and whether it can be profitable. And in order to do this, we use a tool called the Keyword Planner. It's a free tool by Google that tells you exactly how many times something is being searched, and it tells you how much it costs, right? So, extremely valuable resource. And what you're looking for with your keywords is you want to make sure they have at least 200 searches per month, and you want the average CPC to be around max 5% of your AOV, so you're still able to be profitable. Later stages, you can even target more niche stuff that can be very, very interesting, but for the sake of this presentation, we'll just use the 200. Now, next step is actually building the advertorial. This is perhaps the most difficult part, and I know many of you have not built advertorials before, thinking, okay, how can I outsource this? How do I find an agency or provider for this? I would, however, recommend for you to own this process. And the reason for that is that advertorials are extremely simple from the development perspective. They're very, very simple landing pages. There's not a lot of magic going into it. Even the images, some of the crushing advertorials have butt ugly pictures, right? There's no magic in the pictures or the actual development. All the source, all the magic of advertorials is in the copy, okay? That is the main part. That is the main part that takes the user from, hey, I got this problem, I got these wrinkles, all right, Jennifer also had wrinkles, she solved it with product X, here are 3 ways, maybe I should buy it. And given that copy is the most important part of the advertorial, who can do a better copy than yourself or the copywriter that you trust? So I highly recommend own this process, block a week or 2, roll up your sleeves, and get on top of it. Now, step number 4 is to actually go ahead and test these advertorials and see which one of them has potential. And I recommend a very simple testing structure for this, right? We don't need to make it complicated. All you need is 1 campaign per advertorial. Every campaign should have 4 ad groups that test different themes. You want to have about 4,000 testing budget for US, and you want to set the CPC at about 70% of the upper range so you're competitive and you're ranking high, right? And within the first few days of running this campaign, one crucial thing is to actually do a lot of negative filtering. You want to filter out the queries that are not relevant. Now, you do this until you reach about 100 clicks per keyword. This is the sample size that is relevant for you. And for advertorials, remember, we're not trying to get some next dead campaign. We're trying to create bangers here, okay? So unless it's got a conversion rate of 3%, it's probably not going to be a winner. That is what you're looking for. 3% conversion rate, you either scale that within the same campaign or you isolate it and you scale it in a separate campaign until you reach an impression share, maybe 60, 70%, until you max it out, okay? If you've got a conversion rate of 2 to 3%, that's something you want to observe. You don't know where it's going yet. Is it going closer to 3? Is it going more towards 1.8? We'll see. So that one, you observe. And anything below 2%, unless the profitability is really, really strong, you may want to kill that keyword because, again, we're here to create bangers and not average ads, right? So this process is to be rinsed and repeat many, many times until you reach the following outcome, which is 4 to 8 crushing advertorials, right? Don't stop at 1. Keep going until you reach at least 4 advertorials with a conversion rate of at least 5%. Now, I know what many of you are thinking, sounds like a lot of work, whatever success rate, 50, 30, 25%, I'm going to have to test 16 advertorials to do this. You probably do. But again, just think about the applications that it has for your business. 4, 5 campaigns that generate 30, 50, 100 profitable new customers a day, that can be truly life-changing for a business. So I encourage you to dedicate that money, dedicate the resources, because it will truly be worth it.